dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good morning, I'm Taylor Upchurch. Today is Saturday, May 11th. City officials in Pineville discussed the possibility of taking over temporary management of the Southeastern Kentucky Medical Center after Mayor Scott Maiden says the hospital was understaffed and employees have continuously struggled to get their paychecks. In fact, we're told that yesterday made 1 month since the last time some employees have been paid. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds has more.
Concerns around the city mounted Thursday with an emergency meeting concerning the future of the Southeastern Kentucky Medical Center.
I see a doctor on the second floor that I've seen for years, so I just pray that he'll stay open.
Friday morning, Mayor Scott Maiden talked with hospital staff, convincing many to stay.
I think everybody's confident. Pineville Hospital is open, and we are functioning, and we're going to be here.
The meeting came following talks between city lawyers and hospital trustee lawyers, leaving the mayor walking away with a positive perspective.
They gave us some, assurances, I guess, that we could do that and keep the city safe.
Which was one of his biggest concerns.
No matter what we did, I had to make sure that it wouldn't bounce back on the city residents.
While there is still work ahead, it seems hospital employees are willing to do what it takes to keep their hospital doors open. In Pineville, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
Maiden says his goal is to have a full plan together within the next 90 days. And now let's check in with meteorologist Shane Smith for a look at your forecast this morning. Well, Shane, it sounds like Mother's Day is going to be a little wet.
Definitely a little on the soggy side, not just for Mother's Day, but pretty much the entire weekend. You want to keep those umbrellas handy. Let's take a look right now what's going on up at Whitesburg. The rain let up just a little bit, but you can see plenty of fog still around in downtown Whitesburg and the mountains just above town. You can see the rain beginning to become more scattered in nature. The heavier precipitation has moved over into southern Virginia and southwest West Virginia, and that is going to continue to push off to the east and northeast. We're just dealing with some light and scattered showers now across most of eastern Kentucky. 57 right now, Jackson and Hazard. Good morning, Middlesboro. You're the local warm spot at 64, 63 in Jonesville, 57 over in Logan, West Virginia. Visibility down quite a bit due to the rain and fog. You can see a mile visibility in Jackson and Hazard, 0.3 of a mile in Harlan. So if you're going to be out and about over the next hour or so, just know that fog and rain may slow down your travel plans. Here's a look at the forecast courtesy of the WYMT weather app. Great app to download, available on iTunes and the Google Play Store and Android OS. As you can see, temperatures climbing into the 60s this afternoon. Rain chances actually drop a little bit during the afternoon before they begin to ramp back up during the evening. So we will see more rounds of rain over the next 48 hours. We'll take a look at Future View to map out those rain chances here in a few minutes, Taylor.
All right, thank you, Shane. This morning we have an update on a Harlan County man severely burned in a house fire about 2 weeks ago. Chad Howard remains in a Georgia burn unit. His brother told us Chad is sedated and has undergone numerous surgeries. Right now it looks like it might take him years to rehab from his injuries. Chad's wife Allison and their twin toddlers died in the fire. And a Floyd County jury ruled in favor of a Kentucky cabinet for a Health and Family Services employee and whistleblower. Angela Stumbo Baldwin says the state retaliated against her by giving her a demotion. This all happened in 2012 when Stumbo Baldwin reported understaffing while working for the cabinet. Her attorney told us she still works for the state. As part of the verdict, we're told she'll receive back pay for the demotion and a judge could reinstate her later. The state responded saying a thorough review of the evidence showed it was clear Stumbo Baldwin's demotion was based solely on her work performance. They are considering an appeal. And the drama surrounding Kentucky's pension system continues. And as Hillary Thornton explains, quasi-public agencies are keeping a close eye on Frankfort as they get ready to plan for a new business year.
A raise in pension contribution rates is something they're fairly used to. has steadily increased. At one point, it was 5.89%. Then it went to 10, 12, 16.
But the jump they are currently facing takes the responsibility from 49% all the way up to about 83%.
Is an additional $31 million for the community mental health centers that will go to pension and not the provision of services.
Community mental health centers providing critical services to 180,000 people a year, which is why they were thrilled the General Assembly passed a bill that had a freeze in it, locked them in at the 49% for another year.
It gave us a chance to plan for the next steps of what's going to happen.
But that sense of relief gone when the governor vetoed the bill back in April, however, drafting his own bill that does include the one-year freeze, but not all lawmakers are on board. Governor Matt Bevin saying he is waiting to call the special session until he has the support needed. If nothing is passed, the new rate kicking in July 1st.
It's fairly stressful. I mean, people are trying to figure out what next year looks like.
Even as they are forced to wait and watch the days tick by, Shannon says he does remain extremely hopeful that some resolution will be met before July 1st.
It needs to happen. It has to happen.
He says if it doesn't, and they are obligated to pay the 83%, there's no question services will be cut.
Jump to 83 is clearly problematic, and we just can't sustain it. Can't do it.
In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
The leaders of several quasi-governmental groups sent a letter to lawmakers supporting the governor's proposal and asking them to move quickly. A federal judge says Kentucky school districts will have to turn over the names of teachers who forced recent sick-outs so they could go to Frankfort. It's part of an investigation by the state labor cabinet. The Bevin administration says teachers could be fined for participating in the protests. Attorney General Andy Beshear sued the administration to stop school districts from handing over records. He calls the ruling disappointing, but says it's far from over. And while Pike County schools finish a week of testing, one student is taking more serious tests of his own, ones that are related to an illness that forced him to miss the majority of the school year. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more.
We just really hope that you will heal Matthew in the name of Jesus.
Community, courage, and Christ. Those are the 3 C's Belfry Middle School is holding on to as one of their own battles the worst C of them all.
We found out that he had cancer.
Earlier this year, 8th grade student Matthew Bevins was diagnosed with lymphoma. The cancer has deteriorated some of his bones, making him unable to support his weight. The young pirate began chemo in March and has mostly been out of school as he battles the disease, and his classmates have certainly noticed.
We wish he could be here to go on our 8th grade trip and graduate with us.
We're all rooting for him, and we can't wait to see him freshman year.
Today, while he was in Lexington for more scans, his classmates and teachers made sure his name was everywhere. They put signs on the fences and wore shirts to show their support, but students and teachers said nothing can fill Matthew's shoes.
We love you, Matthew, and it's not the same being here without you. It's he's real quiet in class, but man, it's just not his presence, not being here. Man, we miss you, buddy, and we really miss you. And we are hoping for the best, believing for the best for you.
They're just praying it will be enough until he's back where he belongs. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The school raised more than $2,000 in t-shirt sales to help offset Matthew's medical expenses. And the Our Lady of the Mountain Catholic School hosted their annual golf scramble yesterday. Golfers from around the region shined up their clubs to come out and support the small Catholic school at the Paintsville Golf Course. OLM is located in the famous Mayo Mansion. They host this event every year to keep their school up and running.
We hope to build it back up to what it was, to the point of number of students to be able to support it, and to have 6 to 8 grades is what our aim and our objective is.
The school currently holds students up to the 3rd grade. And the 34th Big Sandy Senior Games kicked off yesterday morning. The day's big event, bowling. More than 100 participants from the Big Sandy region spent the morning seeing how well they could compete against other bowlers. Do not let their age deceive you. Strike after strike, there were some bowlers scoring in the mid-200s. For those of you who don't bowl, 300 is a perfect game. Although it's competitive, volunteers say it's like one big family.
Yes, it is. It's like, well, Also, it's like a big community. Like some of these seniors don't see each other till this time of the year from other counties, and they're chatting, catching up, and they just love to see people from other centers.
This is just the first part of the senior games. Next week starts the outdoor games. And students in Johnson County created a way that you can take a tour of the city of Paintsville, all from your smartphone. WYMT's Lauren McCourt explains.
Have you ever walked by an old building and wondered about the history behind it?
There's a lot of history in Paintsville that people don't really know about.
Well, so did the students at Paintsville and Johnson Central High School.
I had no idea that there's like this much rich history in like a really little town.
That's why they teamed up to help create a virtual tour around downtown Paintsville.
Both high schools decided they would want to work together because they share the community of Paintsville.
They got the idea from the Johnson County Public Library.
The Johnson County Public Library had a historical walking tour that they had worked a long time with local residents and historians.
But since there's only just a few historical tours in the summer, the students wanted to create a way where people could enjoy the tours all year round.
There'll be a sign up at each historical site, and it'll have a QR code.
QR codes will be set up in 60 different spots.
Of course, the Mayo Mansion and the Mayo Church that John C.C. Mayo built.
The students created 2 or 3 minute videos explaining the history behind the site.
Some interesting facts that you wouldn't necessarily know if you didn't know the history.
Hoping to give others a better look at the place they call home. In Johnson County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
School officials say they hope to have all the QR codes on the different sites by September. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, excitement-filled One Tennessee amusement park. We have the latest from Dollywood up next. And later we'll check in with Jason Lindsay to see what he's working on for us in this morning's Hooked on Science segment.
It's going to be a rainy Mother's Day weekend across the mountains. Your full forecast is next.